Hello, this is Aline from MasterYourWeb. You're watching HTML tutorial for absolute beginners, and in this video we will tackle headings and paragraphs. So let's begin. Alright, so far we have created some plain texts using divs and spans. But what if we want to write an article? In that case, we would like to have some titles so that the text will be easier to write. All those kind of titles are called headings. In HTML we have 6 headings, starting from 1 to 6, based on the importance. As you might have guessed, heading 1 has the biggest font size, while heading 6 has the smallest. Alright, so let's actually build some headings. In order to do so, we will right-click on our HTML Tutorial 1 project, we will click Open with Code, and we basically see that we have our old structure, full of divs and spans. We will erase it, and we will create our first heading. So for that, we can see that the structure is going to be simple. What we need to do is basically write H1 from heading 1 in the opening tag, and by the time we close it, it's already created. Now let's write something meaningful. This is my first heading. Okay, now that we have created a heading 1, let's actually create a heading 2. And I think that you can already start to guess that the syntax is going to be really similar with the heading 1, but instead of 1 is going to be a 2. Alright, so we will copy this bad boy and we will copy it. And we will write, this is my second heading. And guess what? For heading 3 is going to be the same almost. This is my third heading. And it will go up to heading 6 as I mentioned. So we have heading 4. This is my fourth heading. Then we have heading 5. And last but not least, we have the heading 6. Heading 6. My sixth heading. Great, let's actually see what we have done. We will save the changes and we will double click on the file so that we open it into the browser. Sweet, it looks really beautiful. Alright, one good practice over here is to basically use only one H1 per page. So that could be like basically the main title of that page. And the rest of them we can use like from heading 2, 3, 4 up to heading 6 as much as we would like. But it's gonna be really good if we could use only one H1 per page. Alright, so that will be all related to the headings, and we will dive into paragraphs. So paragraphs are nothing but a section of a text. Its main purpose is to group a text into one chunk. And I believe that now you're like, wait a second. In our previous video we discussed about divs and spans, which are also sections of the application. What is the paragraph different from those? Well, as a general rule, we should only use paragraphs if we want to only add text to it, especially larger ones. So mainly paragraphs are only for texts. Otherwise, if you plan to use like multiple elements grouped together, you should use divs. And if you just want to have a small text or like an image inside it, you should be using spans. Great, now let's build a paragraph. And you will see that the syntax for building a paragraph is also really simple. And we will have the opening tag, and we will have P from paragraph, and that's all basically. And we will write, this is my paragraph. Let's try to save it. Go into the browser, press F5 to reload it, and bam, you have a paragraph. Great! Now that we know how to write headings and paragraphs, let's move on to our exercise. For this exercise, we'll go to a specific link which I will share in the video description, and it's gonna be developer.mozilla.org. And what we will do is basically we will try to replicate as much as we can this section, only the highlighted section, okay? And also as a side note, we won't be interested in the fact that here we have a link and here as well. Basically, we won't be interested in those sections, but rather we will only be interested into the headings and the paragraph side of things. So let's start with that. We'll be back in about 15 seconds. Good luck! Great, now let's actually solve this together. So for that, I will go into Visual Studio Code. I will basically delete all of this, save it, and we will start from a blank page. So the first thing that we have to do is basically copy this guy over here, press Ctrl C to copy it, and we can figure out that this is basically the main heading of this particular page, because it doesn't have any heading above it. So we can consider that it's a heading 1. So I will write H1 and just paste the text over there. Okay, so that's our first element. Now we can see that we have a text over here, which in my opinion it could be a paragraph. We will copy it, we will create a paragraph, press enter, add the text, then move on. Alright, so we can see that this guy and this guy are also they have the same level, and it's basically a H2 or an H3. It's not really clear, but for now we can put it as an H2. It doesn't matter that much. So we will create a heading 2 and we will add this subtitle, and then we have this content over here, which again is a paragraph. So we will add it over here as a paragraph. It's a bit of a long text. Okay, we save the changes. Next one is basically this section, which is again an H2. We add that text, save it, and basically the final section, we will copy it, and we will create a paragraph, and just paste the text. Alright, let's save the changes and see what we have done. Boom! Something weird happened. Maybe I didn't close a specific tag, or... okay. Interesting, because they internally had some H1 elements. But let's actually delete them since it's not that important. And also the paragraph, well, a lot of elements that they have added. So let's try to save it again. Okay, great. So now we can see that our variant looks more or less the same, with minor differences. But of course that this is basically to demonstrate and to make use of what we have just previously learned from headings and paragraphs. Alright, now that we have played a bit with headings and paragraphs, it's time to finish this tutorial, and in the next one we will cover text formatting. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the content and if you consider that it's at least 1% relevant, then please leave a like, a share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you on the next one.